Hello, good morning, everyone. This is Audrey Kang from Beryl Elites. I'm here to interviewing Stas Melnikov from Stas. He's the head of quantitative research and also doing risk data solutions. Okay, Stas, how are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, great. How did you feel about the conference? What do you think about the conference?
Beryl always provides a very positive experience. So the quality of speakers is excellent, and everyone is having fun. So I think it's time well spent.
So, what are the top risks you're thinking in the financial system right now in the risk management?
Well, we are in quite unprecedented times at the moment. We've seen the events that have been non-financial shocks, such as COVID-19, have really rewritten the script of how we think about scenario analysis and what the spectrum of possible is. And at the same time, we have increased fragility with the geopolitical events that are continuing to devolve, and ultimately with some of the slower moving themes, such as climate and demographics. And if you think about how that translates into the financial risks, I mean, a lot of these themes are actually inherently quite inflationary. So when we think about climate transition, you have to manufacture, for example, green vehicles while still continuing to make internal combustion ones. So you have to double up the production. That is inflationary. The remilitarization, the reversal of globalization, the onshoring, friendshoring, all of that has a price in terms of the upwards price pressures. And so what we think is market is not exactly pricing the inflation risks accurately. It's going to be harder to contain. Um, at the same time, we have persistent fiscal deficits. We are most indebted we've ever been as a modern human civilization, which also adds to that market fragility and ultimately drives some of the credit risk as well. We can't not talk about AI. So AI, as ChatGPT have launched, we have seen virtually every industry being disrupted. And so that is accelerating the bifurcation between winners and losers. And it's not just in the technology space. We're seeing it in consumer discretionary. We're seeing it in media. We're seeing it in materials, utilities, you name it. Each industry right now is where you have a split between winners and losers. And that's something that the market average may be masking. So when we think about something like S&P 500, it's cap weighted. And so a handful of winners are driving the outcomes, whereas the rest of the index is actually struggling. So when we think about credit risk, at SAS, we produce a daily forecast of the corporate credit risk, where we look at all publicly listed corporate issuers. And so if we narrow down that universe down to the top 3,000 companies in the United States and just look at the median 1-year default probability, so how likely a company is to default over a 1-year horizon, from a historical perspective, that is at the 71st percentile of its range going back to 1999. So we are certainly not in an environment that is necessarily consistent with the credit spreads being in the bottom decile. At the same time, if we look at the 3-year default probability, that is in like 54th percentile in October. So we are looking at a pattern that is typically consistent with a late stage credit cycle. So either these models are wrong or spreads are not pricing everything correctly. And then also, with the increasing prevalence of passive investing in the public credit market, we have ETFs that are buying some of these bonds indiscriminately. And so hence there may be opportunities for the savvy investors who have the right perspective on the corporate credit risk. But one thing we know, that the market fragility has increased. The way that the risks have evolved are evolving is accelerating because of the pace of change is accelerating. The number of events that we're witnessing is increasing as well. If you just recall what has happened in 2025 compared to, let's say, 24 or 23, it feels like we've lived a decade, not a year. And I don't think there's any slowing down to this environment. So one needs to be vigilant and make sure not to get carried away with lots of excitement and some of the hype that exists right now.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much for your comments. What are the solutions that you guys can provide from SAS?
Well, so there is no substitute to having a clean, robust data and well-governed processes. So at the end of the day, it's back to the basics. You want to make sure that the signals you're getting, the information you're getting is good and high quality. At the same time, the number of sources, kind of the whole volume of data has increased so much that it requires a certain level of automation to be able to process that and to do it in in an efficient manner. And so, that's where I think the data governance and some of the more of the mundane things, so could be perceived as such, such as model risk management, is more important than ever. If you think about kind of the foundation that SR 11.7 have laid out there, that is more applicable to AI than ever before, and it goes back to data quality, it goes back to the process, it goes back to the model usage and implementation, and in which context the models are applicable, because the environment is changing rapidly. And so what you want to make sure is that the signals they're using to navigate this environment are of good quality and appropriate to where you are in the credit cycle, or where you are from a regime perspective. And then also multiple models. Reality is infinitely complex. It can be reduced down to mathematical formula, yet every prediction out there tries to do that, and some of them are traditional statistical formulas, some of them are machine learning, where you don't even know what is driving the outcome. And so it becomes, in some cases, it becomes more difficult to understand what's true and what's not. Hence, explainability really matters. Understanding the assumptions that drive your model, which ultimately that's how you reduce that complex reality down to a number, is by using these assumptions. And some of these assumptions are going to be true. Some of
And
them
you
are
are good at
false.
that.
Well, we are good at providing a frame, because no one has a crystal ball. So you have to have a framework. You have to have the right set of tools and practices to be able to make that into production in a way that is consistent, robust, and not labor intensive. And that's why SAS is the most trusted name in analytics, that we provide that framework. We provide the tools, we provide the abilities to estimate the models, to deploy the models, to monitor the models, but we also provide models themselves. So we provide models for credit risk, as I mentioned before. So we have a full spectrum of offerings that can help our clients navigate this uncertain environment.
Thank you so much, Stas, for providing us about your service. Is there anything else that you want to talk about your company, or anything else that you want to tell audience about your service? Is there anything that you want to share other than the things that you provide right now?
And maybe in conclusion, it's worth to mention that we are coming up on our 50th anniversary, and SAS has been evolving, starting from the provider of the analytics and basically inventor of the statistical analysis software, to becoming a data and AI platform, to moving into domain-specific solutions and now data. So it is showing that we're growing with years, and we're looking forward to the next 50, as it's going to be very exciting.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, everyone. This was Beryl, and this was Stas from Stas. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you.